Just want to put a disclaimer out there to everybody that is on our call. We record all the public presentation portions of our CCAC meeting. And then once we get into past presentations, start talking with public comments and things like that, then we turn the recording off because we want to respect everybody's privacy. But today's agenda is a different agenda today. But before I get into the agenda, I'm going to welcome everybody to our fourth Tuesday of the month CCAC meeting, Special Education City Advisory Council for Prince George's County. I am the current chair of CCAC. My name is Troy Sampson. We have on our call this evening our CCAC members of our CCAC board. We got Sarah Whalen. Wave your hand, Sarah. She's our vice chair. We have Jamie Afonso Kumo, who is our secretary. Wave your hand, Jamie. And we have Jeannie Payne, who's our treasurer. Raise your hand, Jeannie. And we also have Pamela Talley, who's our community outreach manager. Wave your hand, Pam. How are you doing, Pam? And we also have from our team, our school team members, we have Janelle Bowman, who's the associate superintendent for special education for PGCPS. We also have Karen Andrews, who's our coordinating supervisor. And we also have Dr. Beth Diate, who's on, who's the instructional specialist at the Family Engagement Center. We have Marcy Torson as well from the Family Engagement Center, and also Yvette Young, who was a social worker from a Family Engagement, so a Family Support Center. And then we also have a couple of parents on the call and guests on the call as well. So I want to welcome everybody to our fourth Tuesday of the month CCAC meeting. Just a quick overview of the agenda tonight. I'm going to transition in a few minutes over to Chanel so she can give an update from the Special Education Department. And then we're going to transition into an online poll for our parents that are on the call of the succession challenges and navigating special education process. We're going to complete that poll. It's going to take probably about 5 minutes to do. And then right around 6:50, for our parents that are on here and our guests that are on here, we're going to break out into what we call breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, we're going to, our board members, our CCAC board members, myself, Sarah, Jamie, Pam, Jeannie, we're going to be talking to our parents that are on the call and give them an open forum to discuss the successes in the special education process, as well as the challenges they've been facing navigating the special education process. And then, of course, we'll share those any suggestions and challenges and successes with our special education department in an effort so they can better to support your child on the educational journey. So with that being said, it is now 6:36. I will turn it over to Trinell for an update from our special education department.
All right, good evening, everyone. I do have a few updates to share with you. Again, I want to bring greetings on behalf of the Department of Special Education, as well as Prince George's County Public Schools. And thank you for joining us this evening. Our first update that I wanted to share is that the Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Service Plan is available on the Prince George's County Public Schools website. I wanted to draw your attention. It has been out there in draft form. It has now been finalized based on feedback from the state. So the state did review all of the districts across the state, their plans for reopening, and provided feedback. And you'll see some of the updates or amended changes made in red reflected throughout the document. So I wanted to make sure you were aware that the document is, again, final for now, but as you know, we will continue to make updates as we need to. So I wanted to make sure you were aware of that update. And thanks Ms. Newman, and I know Mr. Sampson, both who have served on our reopening committee. So thank you for all your work over the last several years on that reopening. The other thing that I wanted to share, and I'm sure you have heard that, and this is not, just Prince George's County, you've heard about our transportation woes with vacancies, but I also wanted to draw your attention and make you aware that we definitely are experiencing special education vacancies, both from teachers, support staff, as well as providers. And I wanted to let you know that if your son or daughter that's enrolled in Prince George's County Public Schools is impacted by a vacancy due to a special education teacher, or a speech and language pathologist or other related service, I wanted you to be aware that you should be provided with a letter regarding the vacancy from the principal, as well as supports and services that will be in place to allow the student to continue to benefit from their program. We continue to remain steadfast and work to recruit as well as screen potential applicants and work with our Department of Human Resources to really look for candidates. We are excited about December, and we know that we're going to have December graduates. We're continuing to hire staff every day to support our vacancies. We also are working to increase our long-term sub pool. So principals are diligently working to recruit long-term substitutes as well, so that students can continue to receive services. And then our special education instructional specialists and resource teachers in some cases are serving as case managers to keep IEP current and also provide services where possible to meet the needs of our students. We also, for our speech and language vacancies, you know that we implemented teletherapy several years ago, even before COVID. So we are working to expand the number of contractors that are available to provide teleservices to us. We are also working on emergency contracts and writing other school district contracts to be able to fill the gap. We are fortunate that we have had about 25 of our speech and language pathologists, as well as about 20 contracted pathologists that have agreed to work additional hours that may include providing services after school or even on Saturdays. So we do have a pool of speech and language providers that have agreed to additional pay, and we'll be working with those particular parents to see if they are interested in those services being provided after the school day or on Saturdays. On the next slide, I just want everyone to be aware that anytime we have a vacancy for a long-term vacancy, whether it's a teacher or a provider, there are policies and procedures that we must follow. One may include scheduling an IEP meeting quarterly to determine whether the student is adversely impacted by the vacancy. So that means each quarter, as long as that vacancy continues, the IEP team will be meeting to review progress and determine if the student has been impacted. The IEP team would use a variety of data sources. They would look at their progress reports at the end of the quarter, their grades. They may look at samples. They may look at benchmark assessments, SATE assessments as appropriate. Of course, always working with the parent as our partner to get their input. Anytime there is an educational impact, we are required to have that discussion as part of the IEP team process. We also may have to update assessments or compare those results to determine, again, if a student has been adversely impacted. If it's determined that based on that particular vacancy, either the services cannot be made up or the student is impacted and we can't make up those particular services, depending on what they are, then we will provide the parent with compensatory education recovery service options. And that simply means comp services to remediate the educational impact. And I think many of you are very familiar with that particular process, since we are implementing that for district-wide in terms of the students who have been impacted by COVID. So I wanted to make you aware and be transparent that we are definitely experiencing a significant number of vacancies in special education, and sometimes that number shifts daily. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, kind of what the school should be doing, and then what the IEP team will be doing to monitor those students who are impacted by vacancies. Just want to remind everyone for our resolution team contact. I know that when Sarah Whalen posts the presentation, you'll have a hyperlink to be able to make sure you have the resolution team contact. We're here to support you. It gives you a variety of contact names based on your problem or question, and then key stakeholders inside the Department of Special Ed as well as outside are listed with their phone numbers and email addresses. So I just wanted to make sure that you have a resolution team that is standing by to support you in any way with any questions that you may have. Again, just want to recap our mini fall conference. This was also released in our monthly newsletter, but we will have Dan Habib back with us on November 6th, 2001 at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you would like to register, the phone number is there so that you can participate. And then on the next few slides is just some of our support sessions. Our Family Support Center staff has been very, very busy, really coming up with some wonderful parent support groups. We have our parent wellness support group that really looks at how we support you as parents and how you can support yourself, but really thinking through your well-being. And you see those topics there on the left and the link to register. And then on the right, we're continuing with our board certified behavior analyst, Yvonne Ali, as well as Beth Deity. We also would be joined by Scott Showalter, our mental health coordinator, and of course, Yvonne, our social worker, really working through some of those challenges we may exhibit with our children at home. And you have that link to register. And then a newly support group that has formed is for our parents or family members or key friends and colleagues of students who may have who may be deaf and hard of hearing. So we will be focusing on some monthly topics centered around those support sessions for parents of students who are deaf and hard of hearing. So we're really excited about that new parent series as well. And then again, I just wanted to reiterate the Parent Family Support Center contacts that is listed here, and the phone number that you can always feel free to reach out to any of them to help support and navigate you through the special education process. And those are my updates.
All right, all right. Does anybody have any questions about Chanel's updates? Anybody have any questions or anything they is on their mind? If so, raise your hand. We can get to your questions. Anyone? Oh, Sarah. Okay, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like what the level of people who the hiring issues, like what I know every district is dealing with it, but I'm just trying to get a handle on how bad it is.
So for students who are receiving, we have about 500 students right now that are impacted because of the speech and language vacancies. And then we have about 112 schools that are impacted due to our special ed vacancies. And so when we really dug deep into kind of the problem in terms of how do we really get here, one, we know that people have retired. So sometimes teachers would work beyond those 30 years or 31 or 32 years that they typically would work. We know that 30 years is when you can definitely retire. And so we saw a lot of people exit that normally might not have exited, I think because of the COVID pandemic. We also had a significant number of teachers as they were exiting indicate that they were actually going to virtually teach. There's a lot of companies, startup companies that are providing special ed services virtually. And so some teachers have elected to leave and work for those telehealth companies to provide special ed instruction. We also, and even speech and language pathologists as well. And then another piece is just career changers. But we have never, we've had experience definitely with the speech vacancy. We've been here before with 500 kids being impacted. We actually had a higher number, but I can honestly tell you, at least since I've been in this position in 2016, we've never had 112 schools impacted at one time. We have 208 schools, and basically almost half of our schools are impacted by the vacancies. We've never had that before. So roughly, and again, the number's changing, but we have about 120 special ed teacher vacancies and about 100 support staff. And that number is ever changing each day because sometimes people are going out on leave, long-term leave, medical leave. Of course, we know that some of our teachers are having their babies like they always do. So it's a, combination of factors, but never to this degree. So we're doing the best that we can to, check in with HR, work with HR, but they are doing the best that they can to continue to recruit. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Career Builder, all kind of outlets you can imagine to really try to recruit teachers. They've done virtual recruiting. We've done drive-by recruiting where we have candidates coming by, filling out applications. I think you might have even seen that on the news, but they are pulling out all stops. And I just have to give a special shout out to our special ed team who continues on a weekly and almost daily basis to screen applicants with the Department of Human Resources for our position. So the great thing is we are continuously hiring each week, but unfortunately we're still losing staff each week. So that's what makes it difficult.